Thank you for auditing Professor Skye's Record Review, the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor in front of Beau. That's Beau over there. He's a dog. I'm going to be reviewing Baby Bulldog's album, Rodney, so I figured why not have him in the frame as well. Now, this has been kind of a weird week for me. I try to do at least one kind of big release, something with a fairly big audience, so that would have been the new OK Kaya album, except she released it last month, and then took it away and then re-released it today. So I don't really have like a tentpole album to review this week, but that's been nice because I've been able to experiment and kind of dig deeper in the Tidal stacks, So I subscribe to Tidal and I go through all the new listings, and most people who watch this show watch it to hear me talk about music that they already like. That's okay, but that's not actually the point of the show. The point of the show is to force me, individually, like me. I have thousands of subscribers, but it's actually for me to discover new music so that I don't get old. It's my Dorian Gray. Like, once you decide there's no new good music, you start getting old, the rest of your beard turns white. By the way, someone on my last video said that I was handsome and that I looked like Santa Claus. Do those things go together? Is Santa Claus handsome? You can put that in the comments. So like a lot of what I want to do is explore new music and find new music. So this group, this person, Baby Bulldog, is a great example of that. I did a lot of, it was hard because I listened to the music at first, and there's two criteria for me to review something. One, I have to like it, and two, I have to have something to say about it, more than just, it's good. And this is a very good album, but I was doing kind of my 5 minutes of research, and I think I found my angle. One might be tempted to think that the angle to take on this album is that she is a LGBTQ artist. And I say you'd be tempted to think that because the only place where I saw articles about her that I found online were in publications with that kind of editorial slant. But to be honest, this album, to me, when I listened to it for the first time, it's an EP, 16 minutes, it's worth listening to. Definitely listen to the whole thing. I don't read it in that way. It doesn't feel to me like that is the point of the music. It feels to me the point of the music is just a good, solid rock and roll album that are love songs. And I suppose the love songs are about women, but that wasn't what drew me to the album. So I kind of did a little bit more research. I found some interesting things in there. On Bandcamp, her description of herself is Baby Bulldog, a masculine butch person making music, writing about women. So, okay, maybe that's more this idea of this kind of pigeon-holing might work, but I don't think I think this music is better than any kind of identitarian pigeon-holing. It's just very solid music. And when I kept reading, I started discovering the things that make this truly interesting. Number one, she, or maybe they, I've read in a couple articles they. If they is the preferred pronoun, I do apologize. I'm not being facetious. I'll just say they from now on. In one article, I discovered that they are from New Hampshire. And already, I'm from Massachusetts, but I was forced against my will to spend a lot of time in New Hampshire. I have a lot of bizarre theories about New Hampshire. I believe that I met the devil, and the devil was from New Hampshire. And I believe that I met a demon, and the demon was from New Hampshire. I don't mean like biblical demons. And these weren't like actually bad guys, but just there's this weird energy that comes from New Hampshire. And so I like that. I like that aspect. But the number one most interesting thing about Baby Bulldog is that it is a drummer. It is a drummer who is at the center of the music. Apparently, the singer, songwriter, Stephanie Barker, I got the name. I remembered Barker because of dogs. Is that why it's Baby Bulldog? This one doesn't bark very much. You'll probably hear the other dog bark in a second. Stephanie Barker is a drummer, like a touring drummer, like went to Berklee School of Music and still manages to make good music, by the way. Usually those things don't go together. Went to the Berklee School of Music for drumming and is an actual, real deal, studio caliber drummer. And so what do you do when you have a rock album? I read somewhere that it was defined as kind of a lo-fi punk surfer album, and I think that goes pretty well. What do you do when you have a drummer-led, drummer-singing rock album? You end up having interesting rhythms. And then the thing that you fear is, well, maybe they can't carry a melody. Maybe they can't write a melody convincingly. They can write a melody. They can write catchy tracks. And all the way through, I just kept on thinking, as a former drummer myself, with pride, a drummer is making quality hooks, quality melodies, has a good voice, a good kind of, it's probably easiest to compare to the yeah, yeah, yeahs, but just in that sort of engaging, charismatic, punkish voice. And every song of the 5 or 6 songs on here also has like kind of a goofy bridge. It's one thing which I think is kind of a make or break aspect of this EP is whether or not you like the humor. Baby Bulldog does not take themselves particularly seriously. And this might just be because they're a drummer. And it's hard to take yourself seriously when you're the drummer, right? Like when you're used to having to deal with the lead singers and they're so earnestly going and you're just like, doop, you know? But it really is a very enjoyable album. And if you consider my taste to be similar to yours, I think you'll really enjoy it. The cover of the album, you know, they can hear you, Bo. The cover of the album does a pretty good job of showing what the album is like, right there. So that's Stephanie Barker right there, and they're Baby Bulldog, and they are riding a PT Cruiser, which according to one of the articles I read somewhere, Rodney is the name of the EP, and it's the name of their car. I guess it's a symbolic car after a breakup, and it's a very cheap car. And I have a personal soft spot with this kind of idea. My first car was named the Wounded Buffalo. I was obsessed with it. I wrote songs about it. I wrote songs with it. And there's a kind of aching longing that comes when people write love songs to their cars. I don't think people really focus on this too much. But it's such a replacement for something that you can actually love, right? Like a human being you can actually love. I would say in a similar way, people who love their dogs or their cats too much, it's a similar way. It's like a replacement. So this whole song, it's this goofy song about a PT Cruiser, but there's a kind of sadness implied in it, which I guess makes sense, seeing as, according to one of those articles I read, it is a breakup song. But a friend of mine who's really into cars described PT Cruisers, and he just says, oh yeah, it's a pretty car, but it's a gutless pig. And I don't know what that really means. I guess it doesn't have a lot of horsepower. But every time I see a PT Cruiser, that's not that often anymore, I go, there's a gutless pig. Anyway, it's cool because the chorus is this beautifully obscure line, my will is Rodney. And the one thing to really pay attention to here is Barker doesn't just have some capacity to play drums, but also to like record and mix and have lots of layered percussion all throughout. Kind of a cheerleader style bridge, you know, like kind of like a call and response bridge, referring to Rodney as her number 1, number 2, which is just a funny line. The next track, Lonely, fairly typical theme in a song about somebody who only cares about you when you're lonely. It's nice though because the guitar work throughout is very simple. I don't know if Stephanie Barker writes and records all of the music. I get that sense. Because the way the guitar is played like a drummer, like someone who can play, but thinks of it less in terms of an instrument and more like an accoutrement, you know? And like nice single guitar lines being played. I guess that's the surfing style there. Really nice double hi-hat drum line. Even though this is a drummer-led album, it's not show-offy with that. Like there's a drum solo in this song, but it's like this huge flange is all over it, so that it's like, it's not really the point, you know? It's just a nice kind of interlude in there. And just saying, you need to take a break. I'm sorry, I was the best girlfriend you ever had. So it's this kind of anger at being good to somebody who's treating you poorly. Next track, Everyone But Me, is my stamp of the album, my favorite track. I would play it for you, but I don't know how to find it. I usually play things off of YouTube. Like when I say that like this band is not well known, their YouTube channel has 13 subscribers. This is too good of an artist to only have 13 subscribers. So maybe just subscribe to them too if you're subscribed to me. But it's this beautiful track. It's like kind of slightly detuned, the guitar, slightly detuned and weird. And just this theme of you're fooling everybody but me. Again, the whole thing feels like a breakup album or freshly broken up or just kind of a little bit of bitterness there. At times it's kind of funky, like the drum line's kind of funky, kind of a aggressive punk style bridge, kind of breaks down a little bit. And really it's this great song construction where each song has a good, interesting bridge and a catchy chorus and an interesting verse. Very solid all the way throughout. Work on things. If I have a fever, it is not needing more woodblock. There's lots of woodblock on here, or maybe it's a cowbell. But I like the kind of theme here, just sort of a being young and just wanting to stay home and work on things. Kind of interesting squealing sounds in the back. And then the track, I Really, Really Like You. A love song written to a woman. I guess that's why on the Bandcamp they emphasize how much these songs are about women. But this is really great. Probably the most rhythmically interesting track on the album. At times it goes into sort of a Phil Spector beat, you know, doom, 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 gah. But in general, the drums are very funky, but not obtrusively funky, you know. There's even almost like a pop sensibility to this track, where it seems like Baby Bulldog could write pop if they chose to. So I'm going to play you a little bit of this track, just so you understand what it sounds like. It's I-R-L-Y, R-L-Y, like the letter U. Nice kind of like octaves there on the lead guitar line. A little too much on the tambourine. Maybe take that back on the mix. You hear those drums? This is a great album. It's a great EP. It's really great. You know, you hear like the voice works, the drum works, the guitar works, it all comes together. This has a weird bridge where it's like following somebody, like following a woman and wanting to touch her butt. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't like that if it was a male singing, but maybe this is subversive. I don't know. She's a cutie with a booty, and I really want to toot it. Doesn't tooting mean fart? You want to fart somebody's butt? I don't know. I'm an old man. What do I know? Actually, earlier she says, I'm cheesing at you. I don't know what that means either. The final track is called In the Morning. Almost like sprockets, like Kraftwerky keyboard at the beginning here, but very simple. And the drums come in, and they're compelling drums all the way throughout. By that I mean, like, they're not just like super awesome, oh my God, Geddy Lee, this person studied at Berkeley and you can tell drums, but just well-written drum lines. Again, maybe a little bit too hard on the tambourine. So there you go. There's my review of Baby Bulldog's EP, Rodney. If you like my taste in music and you generally think, hey, this professor guy knows some good rock and roll music, I really think you should give it a shot because it's very good and it deserves praise as a solid rock and roll album from a promising new artist. Do you have anything you want to add there, Baby Bobo? No? This is the more boring dog. Toby's always jumping around. Bo's just sitting there. That's okay. I love you all the same. All right. Well, until next time, for Bo and Howard Chaykin, there's the camera.